So often in America, we're using the term Marxist or Marxism. And oftentimes people reply to us and say, you don't even know what that is. Well, today my guest does know what it is. He came here from Africa, escaping Marxist socialism in his country. And you guys are going to love the conversation with him. He is an amazing guy. I listened to him give an interview with the Sage podcast, and I will link that in the comments. But my goodness, Filimone is just has a phenomenal story. So enjoy. So really, I am beyond inspired and horrified by the things that are going on and the parallels between what you're seeing in America and what you saw in your country. So just tell us, where did you come from?
Thank you, Carrie. That's how I say it, right?
Carrie, yeah.
Carrie, for having me. I'm really glad to have this interview with you, and I'm very honored to share my story to the Americans who actually a model for a whole world, a model for freedom, a model for democracy, a model for human rights. I'm very honored to be here in America. And my name is Filimone. I'm originally from Eritrea in North Africa. And Eritrea is well known as the North Korea of Africa because of the communism and socialism ideology that they have there. So I fled from Eritrea in 2008, and it took me 3 years, a very horrible journey to reach to Israel in 2011. And I have been experiencing a very horrible social engineering, indoctrination, torture, suffer, poverty in my country under this communist ideology. And also I suffered a lot on the way to Israel. I've been kidnapped by a clan linked to a terrorist group, and a lot of my Eritrean fellow has been kidnapped and sexually enslaved and organ harvested and been sold as a slave, literally, by Muslim countries such as Sudan and Egypt and Libya. So in 2016, after 5 years, I stayed in Israel. In 2006, my dream came true, and I came to the greatest country, which is the United States. And I've been living here freely as a free man, and having business, having my family, and having the freedom and the liberty that I'm enjoying. So I'm very grateful for American people and America for the opportunity that it gives me. It's really an amazing opportunity that so many Americans take it for granted.
So at what age were you when you realized that what you were learning was wrong?
So here is the story that when I was born in 1989, which the Eritrean current president went to China in 1960 to study Mao's communism, and he learned all the tactics that Mao and his party, a communist party, uses to indoctrinate the peasants, which is the proletariat, and not only indoctrinate them and convince them that their enemy is the rich or the bourgeoisie, but also make them part of their struggle. That way there are a lot of tactics that this current president learned in 1960 when he was actually young. In 1960, 70, like communism and socialism was like the current version of wokeism that many young people were attracted. They thought that it's the end of history, the end of which the end of history means that there is not any more religion, there is not any more culture, there is not any more of tribalism. All the old has passed. A new era will come, which is the idea of communism. Like
The four olds, right? The
yeah.
four olds of China. Okay.
So the president was, and then our people were started a revolution in 1960 against an Ethiopian regime which is communist and supported by the Soviet Union or by Russia. So, and this guy was at the beginning, he went to, he really want to go to Russia to study Mao's communism, Mao Leninist, you know, like communist Leninism. So, and he really want to go to Russia and study from Stalin and all these kinds of great communist leaders in Russia. But since we were fighting against an Ethiopian regime which was supported by the Russia, so a lot of members of the revolution said, "Look, we were fighting the enemy, so you cannot go and learn there." So, and then he changed his mind. Okay, then let me go to China, to Mao, to study communism. That way that we can. And then he learned all the tactics, and he came back. He used all his tactics. He actually successfully defeated the Ethiopian communist regime, and also he actually started another communist political party in Ethiopia. And he helped with this group. They are called Malalit. It's Marxist Leninist political party, or the TPLF, Tigrayan Liberation Front. So, and then when we defeated the Ethiopians, and then we declared our independence from Ethiopia, and he also installed this communist regime in Ethiopia. So he created two communist regimes, one in Ethiopia, another is in our country, Eritrea, which is separate, with the one separate from Ethiopia.
Okay, so let me clarify. He went against Ethiopian communism, and then he created more communism. Yes. Why was communism attractive?
Yes, so for example, in 1989, when there was a war between the Revolutionary Army, which was led by the current president of Eritrea, and the Ethiopian Communist Party, there was a dialogue that was summoned by the East Germany. East Germany was still under communism in 1989. So when they invited them, and they had these two leaders, they have the same ideology, communism. And then the people who were trying to mediate these two groups, they say, you guys have the same ideology. Why are you having all this war? So you need to get to each other. And he said, like, no, they're doing it and they're not doing a better job. I'm gonna do a better job of communism. I will do a much better job. So that was the reason that he, even though he was fighting against communism, but he thought that, you know, most of communist leaders like Mao and Stalin, they have this kind of self worship, like a
God complex.
Yeah, narcissist. They were very narcissist. Yes. So at that time, our people were suffered from communism. That's why they were starting revolution. But this guy still thinks he is a better leader of communism. So even here in America, you know, if you ask all these Bernie Sanders and other communist socialist leaders, if you ask them, well, communism fails in Russia, communism fails in China, in a lot of other countries, they tell you, no, it has not been done well. So I will do it in a better way. So most leaders who are associate themselves with communism or socialism, they have this narcissist character. So
narcissism, yeah, that's
narcissism. So
which is interesting, because it seems to me that that's one of the things that woke does, is teaches people to be narcissists and to be consumed with themselves. And they don't realize, from what I understand, which is obviously nothing compared to your knowledge, but they don't realize that when you are under communist rule, there's no room for yourself, right?
No, no, not really, because so since when he became the president, he immediately started a military camp that create to, and he made a mandatory for every young woman and man from the age of 18 to the age of 55 to be to conscripted to this military and to be trained at the military. So the reason he created this military camp training is basically to do a social engineering. So you were like a lab rat. We were like a lab rat to be like, they test you if that kind of ideology works. So they brutally training you physically and mentally, and they teach you all these translated books of communism, which was written by many communist leaders around the world, but especially one of the books was written by Noam Chomsky. He's an American socialist. You may know him, that person. He's old now, but he's very, very popular in Eritrea because they translated a lot of his books and teach us that capitalism is failing, American imperialism is gonna fall soon, and we will have this multipolar order around the globe. So you just need to get ahead of time. We are ahead of time, so even if you've been suffering, if you've been poor, if you've been not getting paid, if you've been a military for all your life, it will pass. We were fighting the greater war. So you are like ahead of time. So don't like feel jealous of this American imperialist good life.
Wow.
It's crazy, it's really crazy to think about it.
And that starts as soon as you're in school. So
and then also in the school, so this is on the military, like all like when you are 18, but on the elementary, on the high school, they have this new curriculum that they created. So this curriculum teaches you against your value, undermining the religion that you believe, like a Christian. We are majority Christian. 85% we are Christian. So we are very traditional people who believe in a Judeo-Christian value, So they undermining that, all these churches are like feudalist. Then so and all this Bible that you're reading is very backward, which even has a human sacrifice practice. So do you wanna practice it? So like so they undermining your religion, they undermining your value, they undermining your family's tradition, and they even undermining that your historic figures. Like we had a civilization of almost 3,000 years that we have our own writing system. So even he tried to change the writing system, our indigenous writing system, he was trying to change it to Latin, because we cannot use this all, because the writing system is a heritage, it's a heritage even to the globe. Right. Because part of a few civilizations have a writing system. It's not like for us, it's for all Africans, for all the humanity, but they want to destroy that too. But the people and also a lot of leaders around him, they say, no, we cannot change that. We cannot take a Latin writing system when we have our own writing system. That's actually a red line. And he was afraid to the people around him, the leaders, when they told him that. But he destroyed all this historic figure that we had fighting against Islamic expansion, because we were surrounded by the Arab countries, by Muslim countries. So we have this heritage of fighting against Islam expansionism on the Red Sea. So we have a lot of historical figures, heroes that who fought against this expansionism. and they destroyed them. They say, no, 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 no. These people were like prehistory. It was like 100 years, but they tell you, actually, this was prehistory. So you need to learn a new history. And also they undermine, they were also feudalists. They were not like, you know, they were feudalists, they were uneducated, they were backward, they were oppressing women, they were selling slaves. So don't associate yourself with, they are a prehistory. They are uncivilized. So they tell you that, and they, when they convince you that at the school, when they teach you that, and then they teach a new history, which is fake. It's not even real. And they put like this status in the middle of the capital. They destroyed all the heroes that we had for in the capital, and they put a new guy. His name is Pushkin. I think he was a Russian writer or something.
Okay, yeah.
The reason they put it, they don't want to put Stalin there, but they put Pushkin. Oh, this guy was like was a writer, and it was a Russian. And also they create a fake story that he was enslaved, but originally from you. But we don't know him, this guy. The Russian people know his writing system. He doesn't talk like us. He doesn't write like us. But they teach you fake history. Slowly, they take you. After a while, maybe they will put Stalin. They will put Marcus. But this is like a test. You know, it's a process. Because they cannot do everything in a time, because the people might understand revolt. Yeah. So they don't want to that. So what they do is they do slowly. They indoctrinate you slowly. They convince you slowly. And they convince you that the things they are doing are civilized, walk ahead of time, modern. So they teach you also these things. So that's why you are too afraid to oppose, because you may be afraid to be called that you are backward, uncivilized, or like, you know, like sometimes they call you even retarded, you know. So you are terrified to oppose that.
So you had said before that they would say that women were oppressed. Were women oppressed in your country?
No, they were not oppressed at all. You know, like like I said, you know, we are very traditionalist. We are Christian. So there is a family order. A woman is a woman, a man is a man, and children has to be grown up in order so that they can be responsible father. And a woman has to learn it by the father and by the mother, so that she can be a responsible mother. Because we are young now, but we will be responsible. We will be mothers and fathers one day, like we are now, you know.
Yeah.
So we have this family value. We have this family value. So they consider that as oppressed. The normal family structure, they consider it as oppression or suppression, whatever they call it, you know. So they don't take this is normal. But this is a normal structure. That's like the nuclear family, the foundation of a nation. You cannot have a nation without the nuclear family institution, you know. You cannot have it. But the reason they hate that one is because the family, even they control the school, the curriculum, the media, the newspaper, the cultural institution, the religion, the religious institution. Yet the family will teach you in a better way than all these institutions. So they are anti-family value. They hate it, you know, because the only institution that will fight them against all this media, because media is controlled by the communists. That we have only one media, one TV, one newspaper, and the curriculum is controlled by them. The education system is controlled by them, and the cultural institution and the military is controlled by them. So every voices is controlled by them. The only thing they cannot control is the family. So what they should do, they destroy. They have to undermine in the family. And the best way to do that is that, oh, you're oppressing a woman. You women are oppressed. Come out, fight your family, fight your brother, fight your father, fight your mother. and then they destroy the family. So they are not oppressed. They're just, we love our mothers. I love my mother more than my father. So there is no way that we're not like like I understand in some Muslim countries that the women has been oppressed a lot, but
like covered head to toe.
veiled their head, and also they stone them if they get they found out to do committing adultery or something. They stone them to death. There is a lot of in our region, there is a lot of oppression against women. I understand that, but in our society we are Christian, so we're veiled a little bit, but that's our culture. If you see the Ethiopian, Eritrean dress, we have our own mode of dress. So, and they love it. Even if they come to America, they dress it here, and nobody oppresses them.
So, at what age were you when you were like, yeah, this doesn't work for me?
So, when I went to the military camp, I stayed there 1 year, and then I took a national exam, and then I passed that national exam. So once I passed that national exam, they sent me to Eritrean National College, which is a kind of socialist college. So when I went there, and I really wanted to study computer science.
And you said college was free, right? I thought I heard that.
College is free because nobody is paid there. Like no teacher is paid. Teachers are not paid. Nurses are not paid. Medical practitioners are not paid. Students are not paid. Whatever profession you have, you are not paid. So
well, then how do you live? Like, so just like in America, okay, if you have a college degree, you're more likely to do better financially in life and buy a bigger house than if but if everybody's the same and you're not paid, did you guys all live in beautiful homes with like swimming pools? And
yeah. No. Because we are the property of the state. All these professionals are property of the state. They are
the
part
property of the state. Is what?
Yes, you are property of the state. You are part of the military. But so the reason you were sent to the military is that they will teach you how to follow orders like a soldier. And then they let you to be a nurse. They let you to be and then let me finish my story. So when I went to college, I really want to study computer science. I said, let me study computer science because I love it. And then they said, no, we don't need a lot of people who study computer science. We need few, and we got enough. So what you're gonna study, we will assign you what to study, and you will study educational psychology so that you can go to the school and teach or indoctrinate the younger generation, because the people pay for you, so you need to go and pay them back. And then I said, why educational psychology? Because that's what we need now. We need a lot of people who are going to study educational psychology and indoctrinate the younger. Of course, they will not use the indoctrination word. They will tell you, teach your younger generation. And then I said no. And then I decided, okay, it's time for me to trying to run and look for freedom than to be an instrument of this oppressive and brutal communist regime. I decide at that point, And then there were also a few American, there was one professor who came from America too, to the college. She was teaching us. She was teaching us this political science, but she was teaching us basically the communist ideology. So what she was saying was, guys, I know that you don't trust your government fully. You think that the Americans or the Western world are doing fine. They're getting rich. But this capitalism is not working. In America, I lived there. I worked in their institution. I worked in the World Bank. So a lot of debt, homelessness, capitalism is not working at all. So even if you don't believe your leaders, but you can believe me because I live it in America. I worked in their institution. I worked in their school. So you guys are better because you're not paying anything. you just go to college for free. And then I asked her one question. Okay, so how much money do they pay? These college students, they pay 10,000, but how much do they pay after they finish? And she said she doesn't want to answer that question. They get paid, but she doesn't want to answer like how much, because I just want to understand what was going on. And then when she doesn't want to answer that, okay, this woman is not honest. She is part of the regime trying to indoctrinate us. So I decided that I had to run away. I ran away, and then the military was shooting me as a shoot to kill policy, like a North Korea policy. So in North Korea, if you run away, they shoot you. So they adopted that kind of policy in Eritrea, and they were shooting me. I ran away. It took me 7 days without food, only water, and then I crossed to Ethiopia, from Ethiopia to Sudan, and then finally I reached to Sudan. So that's the time that I decided that I had to run away, even if.
But what I'm wondering is, okay, if you went to school and you were indoctrinated in school, how did it not get into your mind? I wonder this as a mother, right? And a lot of the stuff that you're saying is stuff that I'm watching slowly be putting into our schools. They are slowly putting this stuff in American schools, very slowly, because if they wake up too many people, they'll have a revolt.
Yeah.
But right now, people are like, oh, it'll never happen. This is America. So as a child and as a teenager and as a young man, where did you learn that it's indoctrination? Because it seems like you would have just always just went along with everyone. So
yeah, so the problem there is they control all the media, even the TV, the radio, and the newspaper. They have all these horrible news they get from the West. Let's say if there is homelessness in America, they got that data, a partial data, not like under a bigger context, but they bring that data and they show you all these homeless people that they're on the street, and they bring that on news. And even if there is like a natural disaster, a hurricane, stuff like that, they bring that and they send that news. And if there is any horrible news around the world, they bring that. And so a lot of citizens of my native country, they believe, okay, so that means we are better, so that means we're okay. So the whole world is like collapsing, but we are fine. So the indoctrination is not only happening in the school or in a smaller scale, in the college, in the military camp. It's happening in the whole nation. There is no any information that comes out except if the government want to use it for proving his propaganda, So that's the reason that Eritrea is called the North Korea of Africa, not because we have nuclear power, but because we are a very secret state. There is no any information that comes or goes out from the country. So it's a bigger a national indoctrination that's happening. So they still let you to think, but even if you think in a deeper or in a bigger, so they create the environment of indoctrination around you that proves that you are wrong, even if you think sometimes, but maybe I'm wrong, maybe this government is lying to us, or maybe this is propaganda, but they bring you a few datas around the world and they give you that they are right. So there is no any other of information that you can rely on and do critical analysis in that. But like I told you, in the college, I asked this woman, she came from America, so I trust her information more than our leaders. Like she said, she was right, but she was not honest. And then I understood, okay, this woman is not telling the truth. She's part of the regime. She's just an instrument of the regime. And then, like And then I decided I had to run away. And many people, actually, many young people run away because the communism created a very bad economy, poverty, homelessness, starvation. So they run away because of their life is horrible. So,
Just
and
without knowing what's on the other side. They're just like,
yes,
I just need out
yes,
of
they're
here.
trying to get freedom, even if they may die on the way, or trying to get the freedom, they may die, but they take that risk.
So you were not in love with America at the time because you didn't know anything about America except that it was a miserable place with homelessness and disasters and things like that. So it wasn't until you got here that you discovered an appreciation for the country.
Yeah, so basically when I was in Eritrea, America is this imperialist with that follows evil capitalism, exploiting people, enslaving people. So this is like a kind of evil empire that we have. So on the
And can
world.
we stop for just a second? I would just want to ask, I want to clarify one thing there. But in your country, even though, so people were living, would you say that they were, you said starving and poverty, so but yet they all had jobs, so was that pretty much the norm, was to be poor?
Yeah, that's a norm.
Everybody's poor
Everybody's poor.
except for the leaders, right?
Except the leaders, because in 2001 there was a lot of businessmen that were importing, exporting goods. The economy was better until 2001, but and they say when they started war with Ethiopia and Djibouti, and they say, and the price is getting high, the prices for the community is getting high, and they say, the reason you have high prices of commodity is because these businessmen are greedy. They are taking they are taking benefit from you. They are exploiting you, so you don't need them. And they give you that kind of narrative, and then they kick them out. They imprison them. They kick them out to go. So basically, and then after that, people became poor. There is no any job except to be part of the state. And to be part of the state is you are a slave. So there is a national slavery happening there. So basically, but there is no any job, none. Even if I graduated, even if I was continuing my education in psychology and then I graduated, I will be assigned by the government to some of the schools, not getting paid. So basically being slave for my whole life. I would be slave for my whole life if I hadn't run away, but I ran away because it's better for me trying to run and be a slave of this state.
Well, and I feel like that's the ultimate goal globally, is to make everyone a slave. That's what happens when we are reliant on the government so much.
Yes.
That phrase, government that can give you anything you want can take away everything you have.
Of course.
And people,
everything you have.
And people don't seem to get that. They're like, oh, we're getting $10,000 back for school loans. Those people who still have them, mine are paid off, but those people who still have them, you're getting, and you don't understand that what you're doing, what he did was bought votes that will imprison people further. And people don't understand that. They think they have this beautiful view of what socialism is, which is why I asked the ridiculous question, is everybody's house like nice and their yards are perfect and they drive their little cars? Because that's what people tend to think it is. They're like, or that it looks like some book where everybody gets to do their favorite job, and there's no money, just people come in because they like to, and it's not like that. It's literally slavery. So what was like the protocol when you are that soldier for the state? Do you have like, you have to be up at this time and you have to be at home? Do you have curfews and things like that?
What do you mean, when you become a soldier?
Yeah, when you're that soldier from 18 to 55, like are the rules as strict as they are in the military, like American military? if you leave the base, you have to be back at a certain time. Was it like that? Were the rules really strict?
Yes, there are most of the young people. So especially the young people from the age of 18 to 40. So they stay all the time at the military. There are a lot of Eritreans here who has been served for 14 years. They haven't seen their family while they were in Eritrea.
Wow.
There are a lot of them more than 20 years, some of them 30 years, unless you run away and come to America or Europe or Israel or these Western countries who can give you asylum. No, you will be enslaved there forever. Nobody will remember. And the reason they keep you there is because they tell you we are under a threat from the imperial state, the America and Europe. So we need to defend our country. And Ethiopia is also an instrument for the imperialism. So we need to fight Ethiopia, and we need to fight also Djibouti, because the American and the Japan and French has bases here on the Red Sea. So we need to kick them out because they want to colonize you again. Because we had this colonization, the Africans were colonized, so they give you this historic trauma. They make it terrified that they will come again and colonize you. And they come here in Djibouti, they come here in Ethiopia, and they will come next to you. So we're defending you. But the reason they do, the actual reason they do is that they want to control you. Not because they want, because we cannot defend America. We don't have any nuclear power, missiles that we are able to fight America or the Western countries. No way. But they create this illusion that you are fighting a very superpower. But the actual reason they control it, they conscripted in the military is to control it. Because if all the young generation, they let you on the cities, on the towns, on the villages, and you have no work, what would you do? You revolt. So the reason they keep you there, and they don't want to let you go home, because if you get gathered with your home around your city, then you may have exchanging information, which is a little bit different, and then you may gather and be a problem to our government. So they keep you where you are. No, you need to go home. Maybe they give you like 10 days, 5 days in 3 years. So it's a means of controlling the young people.
Wow. So these kids, they start out school, they follow all of this indoctrination. I'm just wondering, what I'm trying to figure out is how you stay true to yourself. How did you stay true to yourself and know that there has to be something better when you were already taught all of this, all of these lies? So, because it seems like if you're, like right now, the boy and the girl issue, transgenderism, okay? Seems like if you take a small child and start telling them now, gender is fluid and you can be whatever, then, and they hear that every single day, for even if it's just for 10 minutes a day of school, but for you, it wouldn't have been like that. From what I understand, all of school was just indoctrination. Then how do people still hold that in themselves to go, that doesn't work for me, I'm not doing that?
Yeah, one thing that helps us to see another perspective is the poverty, and the life is terrible. So reality is hard. You can believe whatever ideas, fantasies that you have in your mind, but when you face a real harsh reality, you will face it accordingly. Like you're not gonna believe what you have been taught, because between idea and the real world is like a heaven can pass through it, like it's not actual. So the reason in America, all the gender ideology they teaching them, and they believe that is America is fine so far. There is job, you have a good car, you have a good bed, you can
Spoiled.
for vacation.
Spoiled, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you've been spoiled here, so you may feel spoiled and say, I may think better idea I got. But when real problems comes, nobody will believe that. Well, look, this is shit. This is not the life that I want. So that's one reason that helps every young think, okay, this government is against me. So we got almost a million young Eritreans in Western world now, because once we go out also, there is no internet, but there is some kind of we are very communal, so we communicate in a community wise, and they decolonize each other, like, look guys, we we're having good life, we're sending you money, we're sending you money. So, and then people say, okay, so that means that's life. So it's not, that's the reason that we are okay, we're not like kind of brainwash it, because our life is terrible. You cannot be brainwashed and live in a horrible situation and believe in some kind of unattainable ideas that, in the imagination of your leaders. No way. That's why you guys are fighting. That's why I really want to fight and teach the American. Just teach the people. They will not believe any bullshit all these leaders dream, Tell a story, what's happening, an outside story. The reason with the American exceptionalism is good, but you need a perspective, a greater perspective, a bigger context. That's why when she was start talking to the American, I was very inspired by Miss She, because
He's talking about She Van Fleet, who
she's telling them about cultural revolution, China's communism, and I was very inspired. Actually, the American need outside perspective, because they kind of being surrounded here. Like I was telling you, the experience I had, they tell you on the school and the TV and everything, if it's the same, the environment is the same, you will not have another perspective. So when me and she or other people from outside world speaks to the American, they will understand, wow, so let me see from the outside perspective what's going on in here, because I don't understand from the inside, because I'm the insider. So I was inspired by Miss She, that, okay, let me tell my story. It may use, some people may see.
Oh no, I think a lot of people will use your story. I have been elevated because I'm not from another country, but I grew up very rough. I grew up in the foster system. Mm-hmm. And so growing up in the foster system and being a minority, I understand what really helps kids and what really develops grit, but only within an American perspective. Mm-hmm. Things that you've gone through, things that she's gone through, I will never, hopefully, Lord willing, ever have to go through. But I do worry that persecution is coming greatly. I just saw an Amish farm got raided. So people trying to do for themselves. Is that stuff that you saw in your country? Like if people tried to set themselves apart and be independent? Just a second, my dog's going crazy. So what I was asking was, if people tried to be independent, if people tried to get ahead, and like just, like be self-sustainable, was that even a possibility in your country?
So we have a few minority tribes, like they have this nomadic life, which might be similar to the Amish lifestyle.
Okay.
So what they do is they went where they live, and they tell them, hey guys, like, come here, we have a free education, free water, we have a free water, free food, everything is free, come here, and then you can live. You don't need to wander around places. But the reason they tell them that is not because they want to give them everything free, but they want trap them first. They need to be trapped first. So, and then when they let them come, and a lot of nomads, and they come and they come for free stuff, but they trap you. And once you get trapped, they indoctrinate your children and your stuff, and so you have the same destiny that the others have.
Wow.
But some of them are very smart. They say, no, we don't need all this where I'm going. So, and some of them even they cross to the other countries, to Sudan, all this stuff, So it's a little bit different, but they do that,
Yeah. So let's switch gears, and you come to America. What year did you get to America?
I came here in 2016.
2016. Okay, so you came here when Donald Trump became
when Trump was elected, yeah.
So you must have heard all of the racism conversation, like that America is so racist, because it's really when it started ramping up. Oh my gosh, how could we elect somebody who is so racist? What has been your experience that way?
Well, like I've been listening all this racism in America, and like I was telling you, in Africa, in Africa where I came, we are more racist against each other than we with the same color of skin that I'm talking. All the blacks in Africa are more racist to each other and having more wars to each other, fighting each other, killing each other. That's happening here. Nothing is happening here. If we blacks are more racist to each other, then it's a natural thing that white and black, they can have like this some kind of like some kind of rhetoric racism, In Africa, if the other group is racist against the other, they kill you, they slaughter you. Really. All this tribalism, nationality, and a lot of people are offended here because, oh, he called me this, like a rhetoric racism, But
not even rhetoric. Sometimes it is literally they looked at me the wrong way.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you're right. So, and not only that. So a lot of when I came to America, I see these founders for the Black Lives Matter, and she was admiring Farrakhan is a leader of Black Muslim Nation of Islam.
Nation of Islam, yes.
And then I met a lot of people from Nation of Islam, and they say we are Muslim, but like I was telling you, I live it in a Muslim country like Sudan, Egypt, and because not only because I'm Black, also I'm Christian and Black. Even if I had a lot of friends who came from Eritrea who are Muslim, and if they tell them that we are Muslim, and they call them ibad, they call them slaves, and they have a lot of Black people in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, in Bahrain, that they were taken as slaves 200, 300 years from Africa, and they haven't given citizenship. So the government of Eritrea sold citizenship for them for 5,000. They've been living in the Arab countries, in Saudi and stuff like that, but for 200-300 years, they were taken as slaves by force, and they haven't given, even though they were freed, but they have not given any citizenship until now. And they have all these Saudi Arabias and all these Arab countries, they take a lot of Black workers, they take them as a worker, and they hold their passport from Africa. They hold their passport, even from my country, Eritrea. They hold their passport and keep them as a slave, and they pay them like pennies. Even some of them, a lot of them get raped.
Wow.
And like they were treated
male and female
slave, females, yeah. They even male.
Okay.
Even male. But a lot of females who came from Africa as a worker, they've been held as a sex slave in their home. So that's happening in now. It's not like, I'm not like telling you a history of slavery that happened a few hundreds or a few whatever centuries, decades ago. I'm telling you right now. And when we lived in Egypt, I was kidnapped in Sinai Peninsula in Egypt. by an Arab clan that was connected with a terrorist group called Hamas.
Hamas.
And and I had to pay 3,000 euros to as a ransom to release me.
Wow.
And those who couldn't pay, they were organ harvest. They harvest their organ and sell illegally around the globe. All this, and there were a lot of black people were beheaded by the ISIS, which is the Muslim, the terrorist group. They beheaded around 49 Eritrean and Ethiopians because they were just Christians. And even those black Muslims, they were treated the same shit. They were not like better. So what I'm saying is, America, I came here, I built my business, I went to school, I get married, I got all this freedom and peace, and I'm even become an activist. I say whatever I want to say. I just make a lot of opinions against how whatever their politics, and they let me do that. There is literally slavery happening right now. A lot of Eritrean has been taken as slaves in Libya right now. And there are a lot of indigenous Libyans, black Libyans, that been slaved, not getting paid. There are more than 500,000 Africans has been slaved by another Africans right now in Africa. So what I'm trying to say is we need to have perspective all the time. We need to have a context. That's why we cannot take this freedom that we have for granted. The African American, they've been here for 400. They're Americans, and they have anything. They don't have any common thing with me where I came from. And we have this more than billion black people in Africa. There are like 800, more than 2,000 languages and tribes. They fight each other. Okay. So you can imagine, like, oh, African, it's like communism and Africanism. Pan-Africanism is like the same. It's a fantasy. You can feel good, but when you go down to the reality, it's not real. Because there are
like these kids who say, if I could just go back to Mother Africa, and you're like,
where are you going? Where are you going? Okay, me, I can only go to specific place, to Eritrea. Even if I go to Sudan or Ethiopia or other Western country like Nigeria, I'm not included. Yeah. I just came like a few years ago from Africa. I cannot go back to any Africa. I can only go to a specific place. That's the only place where they can accept me. They accept me as theirs. But the others, if I tell them, go, I'm African, I'm from you, they kill me. Who the hell are you? You need a land, you want to take a land, who will kill you? So basically, we need to have a perspective. We need to have a historic understanding, a broader understanding of what's going on around society, around nationality, around countries, around what's happening. So really, I wish the left, if they are so liberal, then they need to fight this human right abuse that's happening around the globe right now, around Africa, around Arab countries. That's happening. Really, it's horrible. I wish they would fight to that, because if the other countries become like America, we actually will have a better world than any time in history. But yet we have these horrible experiences that I myself experienced it. But I really thank Israel. Israel is the only democratic Western civilized nation on our region. And they dehumanize Israel here. Oh, look, this Israel, the Zionist apartheid state. There are 40,000 Eritreans who has been given asylum in Eritrea from Africa. There are another 10,000 Darfur. You may have heard about Darfur. There is a million genocide by the Arabs. They are Africans, and they've been given 10,000s of Darfur, origin from Sudan, and asylum in Israel. And there are a lot of Ethiopian Black Jewish in Israel lives as citizens. So this is the only democratic country in the Middle East. And yet when I come to America, I was shocked because that's the place where I got sanctuary. That's the place where I got, like rest. I got this freedom, like it's a transition place for me to America. Without Israel, I wouldn't transfer because I would have been killed. But when I came to America, there is a lot of anti-Semitism. There is a lot of demonizing Israel. That this apartheid, colonial. Let me tell you, you see all this North Africa, Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Sudan, all this Algeria, all this, there are an indigenous people, Black Africans in there, but they were conquered by the Islamic expansionism, and not only they were conquered, they've been still under slavery or in their motherland. Yeah. So if we have really a moral value, a royal moral value that we believe as the liberals claim that they have, they need to fight this. We need to fight this.
Like a moral superiority or
moral superiority. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yes. No, I'm only clarifying it for anybody who's listening.
Yeah.
So when you get to America and you see people who are triggered and easily offended and ready to riot and loot, what does that feel like coming from what you've come from?
That was complete anarchism. That was complete anarchism, in when I saw all this loot and destroying cities, if you have an idea, you can convince people in a civilized way. What happened here in America in 2020 is, like it was a kind of anarchism and revolution. And most communist ideologies, most communist leaders, they are pro-revolution. And they got this from Marx, because one day when the proletariat revolt, without revolutionary means destroying whatever order, whatever history, whatever structure that you have in order to build a new one. So that's what they were trying to do, A lot of Americans, they don't understand. They thought only they were, they stealing stuff. No, they were not stealing. They were not like looting. It was not about looting or stealing. It was about revolution. All this Antifa. They were highly organized. And they intentionally burned cities, burned cars, because they want to initiate the whole public to do revolution so that they will come, as a savior. They will come, so here is happening a revolution, so I will be the savior. We will save you from this, like Mao did. And also our leader came the same thing. He came through revolution. If you don't come through revolution, you cannot be a communist leader with a fair election. You can't. So they were trying to do that, but fortunately, Trump was the leader and he imposed law and order, and he saved America from being revolutionized.
But because we're still, because we're still facing it now.
We're still facing it, but that was a critical moment. We passed that one. They could revolutionize it, but if there was another leader who was not strong, who was not understanding what was happening, who was not tough against it, they could succeed. But he prevented it for a while, but we are still facing it because they will come again. They will not stop. They will come again in a different way, in a different tactic, in a different strategy. They will come. That's why we need to face them,
So here we have the points of intersectionality. Kimberly Crenshaw's mapping the marginalized, always focusing on the marginalized. Mm-hmm. And we have, she literally says that our points of intersectionality are as diverse as the stars in the sky. Mm-hmm. So in your country, you had the poor, and you had the rich, and that was where the revolution came from. Here, it's every little thing. The level of Marxism that's here is everything. You should be offended by everything for every way, which just divides us a million times over. How do you get a revolution when you can't work together, when everybody thinks that they're more important than the next person, or they would say more oppressed than the next person? So they I don't know how they work together, or if they do work together, at the end, do they just line them up and slaughter them because they're no longer useful to the revolution? They're too, I mean, did they execute in your country? Did they execute those who would say, hey, no, I want more power, or things like that?
So in our country, you know, like, no, so what is happening, what happened there and what is happening is we have also a few minority in our country. So a few minority who speaks a different language and who have a different religion, which is Islam. So on communism, what they tell us, you know, communism is for everybody. You don't have to hate each other. Race, religion, or ethnicity is not the reason for you to discriminate, and is not your enemy. Your enemy is the rich, the wealthy, the bourgeoisie. You guys all, even though you speak different language, different religion, different ethnicity, but you all are poor. So you need to fight those. That's why you need to get united. So there is this kind of similarity in America. You black, you African American, you guys are black in color, so the white people are your enemy. So you are oppressed, you are discriminated, so you need to get with the transgender, you need to get with other minority, the Latin or wherever, the Latino, the Mexican, whatever other minorities, you need to get together so that you can fight the white people, the white men. And they go to the white men, and the white people, they tell them, you poor white people, you need to get with these other minorities, otherwise you will be enslaved by the rich. So these many groups, they get together, you know, they don't have the same idea. They just have the same victim mentality. They have the same feeling of oppression, you know, oh, I'm oppressed. So, but if you remove the external enemy that they create, they will fight each other. Even the LGBT community, they fight each other among QR or whatever. I don't know what they're fighting for, but they're fighting each other. And even the African American, the Nation of Islam with the other evangelical, they fight each other. And some of the African American, they are communists, but some of them are actually very liberal. You know, they have this economic ideology that they have, but yet they created a common enemy, also external enemy there. So they always teach you that. They always bring that on the media. They always bring it in the media, on the newspaper, on the education system, on everything. And then you've been indirectly indoctrinated yourself. And that way, then, oh, okay, then I'm oppressed. So that's the similarity we have. In our country, what the government does is the minority and your enemy is not each other. So what they do and the next step is they put you together and they indoctrinate you, because they do social engineering. So they use a lot of forces, a lot of indoctrination, because let's say once the external enemy is defeated, which is the rich, whatever the other, maybe the white man here in America, the white man, if that one is defeated, these people will kill each other. you know, they will fight each other. No, I need that, I need that. You know what they will do? The only way to control these people is force.
Yeah.
It's a very dangerous route that's happening in America unless we stop it. You know what? We cannot have any common because of our color skin, even if we think differently. You know, if I don't think like you, we cannot be the same. Even if we have the same color of skin, you may have an idea that's different from me, but the same with a person who's very different skin. It could be Chinese. You can have similar ideas with Chinese person, with Korean, or with Indian, or with, so that's the main threat that we have in America. And then that's one of the reasons that I run away from my country, because I cannot be me. They will not let you to be who you are. That means they are imposing a new identity, a new idea, a new history that you don't believe. If you don't accept that, then you've been killed, you've been imprisoned, you've been indoctrinated or re-educated, whatever the tactics they use. It could be many tactics they use.
How do we fix this in America? And how did you come to, because you love this country, you're about to become a citizen.
Yeah.
How did you get to that point? What brought you to that point of loving this country?
Well, that's a very interesting question. The reason I love this country is because the freedom and the liberty that it gives me. I can form my own ideas, my own opinions, and I have freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of movement. So the freedom that I have here is unlimited. And I didn't have all these freedoms when I was in my country. I was literally a slave of state, and now I become a free citizen. So of course, I'm gonna fight for this freedom, and I will love this freedom forever. And another one, the capitalism, you know, America gives me this opportunity to make money, to help my family, and to buy toys for my children, you know. I didn't have that opportunity. When I was in my home country, even if I really want to buy a gift to my mother, I couldn't buy it. So there is no way I could express my love to my mother, because I did not have the opportunity to work. I did not have the opportunity to earn any money. And like I told you, when I ran away from my country, I took 7 days with no food. I really know what starvation means. I really know what hunger means. It's not like for me, even though I'm here now to be an American, but for me, it's not like a movie that's happening, famine is happening, hunger is happening. No, I actually live it. So I don't want this country to be a communist or socialist country and have this famine and starvation and economic crisis in these countries. And the most important thing is, I grew up with my family with a very traditionally Judeo-Christian value. You know, I grew up Christian. You know, I grew up Christian. My mother were very Christian. My father is very religious Christian, and they did not have the right to practice their religion freely. And I was a victim of a socialist indoctrination, which I did not have a lot of chance to practice and to know my religion freely. But now I have all these opportunities. So I know I'm reading a lot of Bible now. I know a lot of Bible because once I get this opportunity, I have, because in my country, if you are called to read the Bible, you get jailed. A lot of young people has been jailed because they have a Bible on their drawer or on their backpack, whatever. I can, and America has this Judeo-Christian value. Actually, the founding fathers were very Christian. They founded this country based on a Judeo-Christian value. And I was surprised because they were very intellectual. All these Alexander Hamilton, Jefferson, they were very highly intellectual, yet they were able to connect their religious value into their intellectuality. Because our leaders claim it that the religion is a backward with human sacrifice, and they think themselves as highly intellectual, but they are not even as intellectual of the founding fathers who were in this country 300 years ago. I'm not saying that there was no any flaws or there was no any. I didn't say that they were perfect, or I'm not saying that, but in 21st century, our leaders claim that they are the most intellectual people in the planet, yet they were not even.
They're far more greedy. They're far more greedy today than people who are just like, give me liberty or give me death.
I have all these values that I believe as a person. The Judeo-Christian value, the capitalism, the opportunity, the freedom, the liberty. I believe this, and that's what I am. That's what I want to be defined. I don't want to be defined by the color of my skin, but I want to define what ideas do I believe. Yes. And all this liberty, freedom, Judeo-Christian value, I'm defined with that. So I want to protect that because that's what it defines me as a person. And I'm happy to be American, and I would like to do my best. And that's what the oath I will take too, to honor the country's constitution, and that's what the constitution is tells about.
So I have one more question for you. How close do you think that we are to losing our country? Or do you think we're?
Well, American. I trust Americans who they love freedom, they love liberty. We have a lot of millions of Americans who are patriotic. So we Americans cannot lose it in this country easily. So that's why I'm fighting too. If I believe that we can lose this country, then I wouldn't fight, because the American will never ever lose it. They are patriotic, they are freedom-loving people. They are already starting fighting against this woke, all this cancel culture or censorship. Cancel culture doesn't mean anything. It means censorship. It means controlling how you think or what information that you will get. That's what it means. For me, that's what it means. I don't care about how analyst explains it, but it's as simple as that. It means censorship. It means controlling the information that you will get. That's what it means. So if you got another idea, then we will cancel you. We will censor you. That's what it means. So, but I believe in American people. They have already woke up, and they start fighting, and they will fight more, and they will stop this pollution, and they will, and I believe them. We'll not lose it easily.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to say, but I am so grateful to have stumbled across you, and I think that everyone needs to hear your story. So thank you for standing up, because I feel like we as coddled Americans who've lived here, even with my background being what it is, I have no grasp of what you've gone through. I have no grasp of the idea of not being able to go to a library and grab a book and learn anything I want to learn. I have no grasp of not being able to dream about being something else. And I have no grasp of being captured and held for ransom. I mean, those things are just things that I would never, ever experience, or not being able to see your family.
Yeah.
So much.
Or 15,
and
yeah.
The greatest gift, we as Americans can give you your freedom, but you as an immigrant who's taking on citizenship can teach us to appreciate our freedom, because we've taken it for granted for far too long. So I really hope that this will wake up a lot of intellectuals, but especially a lot of young people. I kind of wish we could just like pick them up and beam them over to your country, let them live that way for a week, and send them back as patriots.
By the way, they do that.
They do.
Eritreans who lives in diaspora, when their children grew up, and if they go to some drug or stuff, they send them back there for a year or stuff like that.
Oh my gosh. And then they come back.
They come back and they say, and actually they use it sometimes as threatening them, you know.
It's smart though.
They tell them their story in their houses, and the children listen, and when they say, I'll send you home, and they got terrified. Okay, so what do you want me to do, you know? But you know, the best way to teach our children is to teach them a critical thinking, to teach them to have a perspective, to respect their value, to respect their history, to respect their heritage, to respect whether it's bad or good. They should inherit and respect it and learn from it. And if you don't respect your historical figures, your heritage, your forefathers' history, whether it's bad or good, you will never ever make any history. You will never where you are. You will never where you're going. So, and we are not like a material being. We are also a spiritual being. We need to respect our religion. And this country is founded on a Judeo-Christian value that gives us the basic freedom that we have, the liberty that we have, and the spirituality, the dream, the American dream that we have. So dream is part of a spiritual side. You know, to dream is something attainable, but to dream greater is part of a spiritual journey. So we need our value, our religion. We cannot let our religion, you know, to be, you know, like more. I heard that like around 39% of Americans, they take antidepressant because they lose their spiritual life. We cannot live without spirituality in a material world. Life is not about materialism. So we need this Judeo-Christian value revival. We need to bring it back, because that helped us to have a purpose in life and to build all these amazing inventions, cities. So if you are spiritually bankrupt, whatever money you have in the bank is nothing. So we need to defend our Judeo-Christian value. That's the most important thing, because that's our source of strength. We cannot do anything without God. We cannot do. The reason I passed through this horrible journey is because I believe in God. God will give me one day an opportunity that I will be a valuable human being. He knows that. God knows that. And then he actually gave me.
So you grew up thinking you weren't a valuable human being?
Yes, because you grew up as a slave, you know. But I had one thing that I inherited from my family, and that's my religion. That's God, the idea of God, and that gave me strength. So I don't respect any American undermining our religion. Whatever religion you believe in, I don't mind. But we need to bring our God to the center of our nationhood. A nation without God is nothing.
This has been a great conversation. So I
very appreciate for your courage and for your strength and for your for your determination to defend this country, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you and a lot of other people, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I definitely hope to see you around in the same circles, because it does seem like it's a smaller world than we think it is. I will share your info with as many people as I can, because I think your story really needs to be out there.
yeah, I'm happy to do whatever I can. I mean, I don't have a lot to offer, but
Yes,
I
you
can
do.
tell my story, you know.
Yes, you do. You're an escaped slave.
Yeah.
And for people to know that socialism really is slavery,
It is.
that is a very valuable, you are a very valuable human being. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you for having me.
Okay, good night.
Good night.